Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 6 of the card making countdown, where I'm sharing a brand new Cricut craft project every day for 14 days. Today I'm showing you how to use the included number SVGs to make custom cards for those special ages. You'll see how to put the numbers together, how to make it into a lovely greetings card design with a fold along the top, and how to add extra decorations such as lovely 3-dimensional flowers also included to make the cards truly your own. These cards are fully customizable by you, so you can make them for any age or any theme that you choose. Let's get started. This project is part of the 2026 card making countdown. Download the cut files for free for the first 24 hours after this video goes live using the links in the video description or by visiting craftwithsarah.com/cards26. After 24 hours, the cut files for this project can be purchased from craftwithsarah.com/cards26 files. Or get the entire card making countdown plus loads of extra bonus files from craftwithsarah.com/cards26 bundle. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into your cutting machine software. For instructions on how to do this, visit craftwithsarah.com/help and choose Cricut, Silhouette or Scan and Cut. Within there are dedicated help guides on topics such as how to upload SVGs, how to modify them to make custom projects, framing tips, and how to cut cardstock with your type of machine. If you have any questions, email hello@craftwithsarah.com. Now, on with today's project. This is what all the numbers look like loaded into Cricut Design Space. I've added lots of layers to each one. You can choose to use them all if you want to, or remove some to fit your design. First up, click the design and ungroup the layers. Then select the numbers you want to use. I'll do a 50th card, so let's move the 5 and a 0 over here, and then drag a box around the rest and delete them. I'll keep the flowers and butterfly to use a little bit later on. First up, we want to make sure our numbers are the same height. So click into size, make sure the padlock icon is closed. If yours is open, click it to close it, and then set the height. I'll go for a nice easy 5 inches for both of them. Then zoom in so it's easier to see what we're doing, and move your numbers about so that they touch. You can either have them touching a little bit like this where it's only the purples touching, or you can touch them a little bit more on some of the extra layers, which is what I prefer because it gives a more sturdy card overall. The fold line for the card will be at the top, which we'll sort out once we've joined it together. It can be a little bit hard doing it like this to know exactly when you've got the right position. So what you can do is ungroup one of the numbers and then select the purple layers, so the two with the little scallop edge, and group them. Then select everything else and group them and drag that to the top. Now, when you select both of those groups, you can move it about and the purple will pass behind my 5, but all of the colours appear on top, so I can see a little easier when those two whites are touching. I don't want to overlap this one into that pink bit on the 5. I'm just making it so that the white bits have got a good overlap on. When you're happy with the position, select all the layers of any numbers that you've split up. So for example, this one where I've now got my purple and my other bits separate, and group them again. Then select all your numbers and go align, bottom. We need them to be exactly aligned on the bottom, otherwise your card will not stand up flat. If you want to double check your positioning, ungroup again and drag those underneath. And that's still lining up nicely along that white. I've also got a bit of overlap here where the purples are touching, which I like. I'm not so fond of this gap here, but we can fill that in once we've joined the pieces together. Next, ungroup your numbers completely. I need to do the 5 as well. And then we're going to join together the layers that touch. Start from the bottom. So I've got my dark purple. I'll click the one on the 0. Press Shift on your keyboard and choose the one on the other number. I like doing it directly in the Layers panel, but you can do it over here. Instead, it's a little tricky that you might select the wrong layers by mistake, whereas here it's quite easy to see which one's which. With those two layers selected, I'll go Combine and Weld to join them into one layer. You'll notice that my light purple has now disappeared from around the 0. That's because it's underneath it in the Layers panel. You can click and drag and then it will appear again. My light purple layers also touch all along here, so I need to join them. I've got the 0 selected, press Shift on the keyboard and choose the 5. And then Combine and Weld. And my whites are also touching, so I'll select both of those and Combine and Weld. And now that's moved a lot further up the Layers panel. I can drag it back down above the purple so I can then see everything again. None of my other colours are touching. You can see the light pink here, there's a gap between it, and then everything else is separate. That means I don't need to do any more of the layers. I want to hide this gap in the 5. To do that, click on the layer you want to alter and then press Contour on the bottom right of the screen. Click into any little gaps that appear and press Apply, and that will fill them in. Because this bit in the 5 is light purple, I kind of think the bit in the 0 should be light purple too. So I'll fill that one in by clicking the light purple layer and Contour. Click on that middle bit and press Apply, and now that will show as light purple instead. I want to show a patterned paper in the middle of my letters, and I want quite a lot of it to show, so I'm not going to cut all of the layers that we can see here. Instead, I'll have the dark pink one as my final layer, which means I can click on this lilac colour and press Delete on my keyboard for both of them. This will give me more space to show my pattern paper. I'm also going to change the colours. Instead of pink, I'll do another dark purple. I'm going to keep the white. I like having a white layer around the edge as it draws the eye away from the border and helps your eye to focus on the letters a bit more. When I'm cutting things from pattern paper, I tend to make it either very bright pink or very bright green, something that's different to all the other colours in my design. That's so when I'm cutting it out and I get to a brightly coloured layer that looks really odd compared to all the cardstock I'm cutting, it's a quick and easy reminder that this should be my patterned paper pieces. I will add flowers and butterflies around the edge in a moment, but right now this is ready to turn into a card because right now it's just one side. There's nothing to fold and actually make it into a greetings card. We'll need some more room at the top of the screen. I'll select everything, group it, and move it down so that there's a nice amount of empty space above it. Okay, then we can ungroup again. Click on the very bottom layer of your numbers. Hover your mouse over them and then press the Alt key if you're on a Windows computer or Option on a Mac, and that will change your mouse cursor to get a plus icon. When you can see that, click. That makes a copy in exactly the same place. You can see I've now got 2 of that dark purple layer. Hide the very bottom one, drag a box around everything else, group it, and then hide it by pressing the eye that appears when you hover over that group in the Layers panel. Then turn your copied layer back on. Change it to a guide in the Operations menu. This turns it into an outline. Then duplicate it in place again with the Alt or Option key and click. Use your arrow keys. You can press Shift to move it a lot or just use the arrow keys as they are to move it a little bit so that we move it a little bit above and then go flip vertical. That makes a mirror image, which means when our card is folded in half, the front and the back of the card will line up. And then we'll move it with the arrow keys until they are just overlapping. And this will be where the card gets folded. So about that amount is good. Don't worry that it means we'll be cutting off the top layer of the scallops. We've still got the dark purple on this layer, which will stick onto the front of the card and overlap where the score line is to complete the shape. I've got the tiniest little gaps in here that I think the Cricut will struggle to cut, so I'm going to go in a little bit more. Check that you haven't accidentally shifted either of them left or right by dragging both of them and pressing Align Left, always good. If you'd moved any left or right by mistake, it means your card wouldn't line up when you fold it. Select them both, change them back to basic cut, and press combine and weld to join. And that's our base card. If you've got a scoring wheel or stylus for your Cricut machine, it's a nice idea to add a score line to make it easier to know where to fold. Click Shapes and choose a score line. Rotate it 90 degrees. And then move it roughly in position and drag it so that it covers all of the bits you want to score. Then select the score line and your card and press Align, Vertical and Horizontal, and that will put it exactly in the middle. You might find now, depending on the shape of your card, you need to nudge it left or right a bit with the arrow keys on your keyboard to make sure it will score all the way along the card, but don't move it up or down because then it won't be exactly in the middle, which again means when you fold your card, it wouldn't line up. When you're happy with your score line, drag a box around the base card and the score line and press Attach. That's what tells the Cricut to do the scoring in that exact place. Then go Arrange, Send to Back to put it at the bottom of the Layers panel. Then you can turn your card back on. You might need to move it about a bit to line up if your other layers shifted while we were doing all that work, but mine still looks pretty good. Now you can add the flowers and the butterfly or whatever other embellishments or pictures you want. I'll show you later on in this video how you can make it completely different. We'll do a jungle theme, but for now I'll use the flowers. And drag all around them and press Arrange to front so that they will be above my numbers. It's okay if things overlap the edges. For these cards, because we are creating them sort of custom, they probably won't fit in a standard size envelope, and that's okay because the download folder that you have received with these designs in contains a separate envelope template which you can resize to fit any card, and there's a link to a tutorial and video on how to do that. So you will not be left without an envelope for your custom card. I'll use those flowers and a big butterfly in the middle. I'm going to fold the petals and the wings of the butterfly upwards, bend them upwards to make a 3D effect when that's done. You could also add your card into a presentation box if you prefer. If you'd like to do that, check out the Foundation Learning section of this Craft Countdown, which is available near the top of the schedule page, or you can find the Foundation Learning section at the top of the written version of this tutorial. The links to both of those are in the description of this video. I'm not going to use those ones, and I want to change up these colours to better match my card. I'm thinking more of a really pale purple for the top flowers. If you want to change the colour of lots of things at once, you can change it once, then click Material Colours, and then find everything you want to change, in my case the pink, and drag it onto the new colour, and everything will change at once. And that is looking good. I am happy with that. I just closed out the layers panel without really thinking about it. If you accidentally do that, you can click the icon on the top right to bring it back. I am going to cut these circles from white cardstock, but I may well end up changing them to be gemstones on my finished card instead of circles. Haven't decided yet. We're almost ready to cut out now. We just need to check the size, especially the base card, to make sure it's not gone too big for the Cricut to cut. Mine is almost 7 3/4 inches wide and almost 10 inches tall. So my card will be about 7 3/4 by almost 5. I'm happy with that size, but if you wanted to change it, drag a box around everything so that you change it all together, and then you can check the size each time until you're happy. Remember that the maximum size the Cricut can cut on a standard mat is 11.5 inches on each side. I'm happy with that though, so we'll give it a save. And then this is ready to cut. Let's press make and that will separate out all the colours. Connect to your machine here if you haven't already. You can change the paper size in the drop down here, and if you want to, you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space. Just make sure nothing overlaps, otherwise it won't cut out properly. I've got my bright green here to remind me that this is my pattern paper layer. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press continue and follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut from your cardstock. Here are all the pieces of my card cut out and ready to go together. Start up, we've got the base card here with the score line down the middle, fold down there, and then if you've got a brayer tool or something similar, go down the fold line to get it nice and sharp. So here's where we cut the top bit off of the numbers, but that will all get covered up by this piece. So then we've got the nice edges back along the top. I'm using Barely Art glue for this project, but I also like Halal. The reason I like these glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. I'm going to put the glue on the front of the card rather than the back of this piece so that I don't accidentally put any on the overlap part where it will be seen from the back. Alternatively, you could build up the whole front of the card separately first onto this piece and then glue it all onto the base card at the end. It doesn't matter which way around you do it. All those edges as closely as I can. There we go. We turn it round to see there's a little overlap here, but it's not that noticeable. I've used card that's white on the other side. If it was the same colour on both sides, you really wouldn't notice it much at all. And then start building up. Glue this one on. This sits right in the middle, so there's an even border of that dark purple around all the sides. For the next one, I'll use some foam squares to pop it out a little bit. These are the foam squares I'm using from Dot & Dab, but any will do. They come in a range of sizes. These ones are 5 by 5 millimeters and 2 millimeters thick. I have got some bigger ones, which are double the size, which I've already taken out the packet. I'm going to use those instead because this is quite a big area of card, but it doesn't really matter. Turn this over. Add my foam squares on the back. I want a good amount around here. If you're using really small foam squares, make sure that as well as going around the very edges, you also get some in the middle bits so that it's nice and sturdy. But as these are so much bigger, I can just go down the middle areas like this and it will be fine. Peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. And line it up in the middle. I'll get it so that it's where I want it to go and then gently drop down. The reason for gently dropping it onto the card is that if you weren't then happy with the positioning, you can pick it up and move it because it hasn't stuck yet, so you wouldn't damage anything. I think that does look good. We'll push down to stick. Next is my dark purple. Got the 5 and the 0, and I'll glue these on. It's up to you which layers you glue and which you foam square, or you could just glue everything to make a flatter card. And finally I've got my pattern paper to glue in the middle. That's my main card done. Looking very nice, stands up beautifully. And now I can add the butterflies and the flowers. For the butterfly, I'm going to take each of the layers and squeeze the wings in a little bit around the body. And only put glue down the little body bit that I've left. That means the wings will pop outwards, which looks really pretty. And do the same for the other layers. This one will go in the middle of what's already there. And then a detail one on top. Just use my scoring tool to get that in place. Leave that to dry and then work on the flowers. To make the petals come outwards, I'm going to use a ball tool. This is for fondant icing, but I use it for crafts, and a piece of old foam packaging. There were some great suggestions in the last craft countdown about alternatives to the foam. You could use a mouse mat, you could use a pressing pillow from your heat press or something similar, or even a cushion off of your sofa. Just something that's going to squidge down when you push into it. But if you don't have a ball tool or something similar, you can fold up the petals with your fingers instead, just like we did for the butterfly, and get the same kind of effect. Here's one of my flowers. And I'll get my circular end of the ball tool and gently roll it in a circle in the middle of the flower. And that will cause all those petals to bend upwards in a really realistic, pretty way. You can see now, rather than it being a flat bit of card, it's got a lovely bit of bend in it, and that can be glued into the middle of the bottom bit. Rotate the petals around a bit so that the lighter purple ones are kind of positioned in the gaps between the darker ones to fill those in. And then repeat for the other flowers. Now all my flowers are done. I'm going to add a sticky gemstone in the middle rather than those little bits of white cardstock, because I want some bling. These are probably not quite big enough, but I think they're the biggest ones I've got, so we will have to make do. Now I can put these on my card. One overlapping there, and then the others on the other side. Some glue to the bottom bit and put in place. You want to be mindful of your envelope if you've already created one, to make sure that you don't poke these out so far that your card wouldn't fit in anymore. I haven't done one yet. For this, with the flowers and butterfly, a presentation box might work out better anyway. Then there's more room in there. It's not going to squidge all the flowers and petals flat again. If you put it in an envelope, you run the risk of everything flattening out and not popping back out nicely. And there we are, my beautiful 50th birthday card is all finished. Very, very pretty. I'm really happy with how that turned out. But now, let's go back into Design Space and see how to do a similar card, but with different images along the sides. This time, we're making a card that's more complex with more images around the side. I'm going to use some of the SVGs available from my website, from my Cute Animals series. I'm choosing these in particular because the cute animals can be cut small and they'll still cut really nicely and easily with the Cricut. But of course, you can use any images or SVGs that you want. If you'd like to use the same ones as me, head to craftwithsarah.com and click on Products. Then under the Themes filter, look for Animals and Birds, and under there is Cute Animals. If you tick that, then it will show all of the cute animals available in the series. Here's just a few of them. Now it will show the lantern designs too, but we can filter those out by going under Categories and then clicking Layered Cardstock. Then that will get rid of them. So now we can just see all the layered cardstock designs of all of those animals. And there are 2 pages to choose from if you want to look through them all. I've already got my numbers so that I've deleted the layers I don't want, and I've got them so that the pieces are touching, but I haven't joined anything together yet. So all of that was covered in the first part of this video where we looked at the purple card. This time, as I'm adding so much to the edges of the card, I'm not going to join anything together or make the other side of the card to fold in half until I've got all the pictures in place. Move these in the middle so I've got a bit more room and start playing about with the position of all of the pictures. We'll work out the exact alignment at the end to make sure it's all nice and flat. But for now, we can just have a little play. I don't think I need the lion body. I just want the head to pop out the front. So we can open this up, click the body layers and press delete on the keyboard. So I've just got the head and have that coming out the top here. It doesn't matter that it's going out over where our score line will be. We'll figure that all out when the positioning is done. I think what would work nicely is this gap here between the 1 and the 0, this sort of triangular gap. If that was filled in with yellow to look like the lion body behind the card, like that. So now it looks a little bit more like he's sort of peeking out over the top. When working with layered images like this, there might be layers that you can delete, like the lion body. In the monkey, he's got a lighter coloured tummy at the minute, which I don't think we need. It's not adding that much for the sake of it being that small. And the giraffe, I think we can probably hide his back legs. There's too many, well, there aren't too many layers, it would work, but we could simplify it. Delete those bottom ones and the back feet and his tail, because we can't even see that, it's hidden entirely behind. And that still looks great, it still definitely looks like a giraffe, only now it's taken out a few layers for us. Might make him a little taller because I've got up until the height of the lion to sort of play with. And tuck him in a little. That's cute. Maybe it's missing something up here, possibly some leaves. But for now, I just want to check the colours before we do anything else. So once you've got everything vaguely in position, then start thinking about what colours you've got, because there's lots of yellows and browns in here at the moment. If I click material colours, so there's 2 that are blacks but not quite the same black, so at the minute it would try and cut these from 2 different sheets of card. You can click and drag to combine them. Let's say I've got 3 very similar browns. Let's take them all into one so they'll cut from the same one. And what else have we got? We've got the orange on the giraffe and the yellow of his body. That could be the same yellow as the lion. I'll keep, got the monkey colour there. Then the lion's ears are different, but I think I could get away with making it the same as the monkey colour. So we've cut that down quite a bit. I'm not sure I like the giraffe's nose in that orange. Change that to yellow. There we go. So that's far fewer colours now that we'll need to find when this is cut out. And then for my numbers, I'll keep these top bits in pink to remind me that's my pattern paper. Then we'll go for a yellow border. That'll be nice and brightly coloured. And then the outside, which is my base card, we're in the jungle, so we'll go for a green. And that one the same. Let's enhance that jungle vibe with some leaves. Looking at Cricut Access. Let's go that one. Arrange to back. Have some leaves coming out. There. That one. Maybe a stalk one. That one possibly. And now I've got 3 different greens, so we'll fix that on the material colours in a moment. There we go, that's nice. That gives it that jungle vibe going on there. And make those leaves the same green as my card. Alright, I think I'm happy with that as my design. Let's see what size this is. Select everything and look at the size. 7.5 by 6. I think that's fine for the front of a card. I might go a little smaller. Size it all down to 7 inches. About 5.5 tall. That'll be fine. Again, this isn't a standard size, so it will need a custom envelope. Okay, so at this point I'm going to group everything and duplicate it to make a copy, and then double click on the name of the group in the layers panel and call it backup, and then hide it. That way, if you want to come back to this point in time at any point in the future, you can. Also, give it a save at this point. Now we can start joining everything together. So we need to work out where our score line is going to be. So it'll be along the front of the card, touching the 1 and the 0. But that means I can't have the shape of the lion head on the back of the card because that is above the score line. And the same with the top of the head of the giraffe and my leaves. Okay, so let's ungroup that and have a think. With the other card we did, the purple one, our back of the card just showed the 5 and the 0 because I wanted to bend up the petals of the flowers, so I didn't add the shapes of them to the back. But this time it would be quite uneven and I'm not sure it would stand up well if it didn't have the outline of the giraffe and the monkey on it. The leaves and the lion we can leave off. I'll hide that one. And hide my leaves. And that circle that's the body of the lion. I'm going to add my score line roughly in place first. It won't stay here forever, but this will give a good idea of where it will cut. So just like before, I'm going to go slightly into the number so that we end up with those straight edges that will be folded. And it also goes into the giraffe there. Okay, great, that is helpful. So let's look at our monkey. Click on the very bottom layer and duplicate it in place with the Alt or Option key on your keyboard. Press that down and then click. And then drag that out of the group and I can hide the rest of the monkey. I only wanted that bottom layer. And the same with the giraffe. Duplicate that bottom layer and drag it out of the group. Hide the rest of it. Oh, did I do... Oh, I think I just dragged the wrong one. That's the one I wanted, the solid one. Okay, then if that will be... I'll also need the bottom layer of each number. Okay, so now I've got 4 bits in total. Drag all of them, and because my giraffe's at the back, my base card can be the colour of the giraffe. So we'll change everything to that orange and press combine and weld. Now we can cut off everything above where we want that score line to be. Go into shapes and choose a square. We're going to drag that to line it up with the score line so that it goes over everything above it. Select that and your base piece and press slice. That will cut the rectangle out. So now we've got this piece which we can delete. And we'll move that out the way for now. Click, duplicate in place, flip vertical, and then we'll line that up so that they're just about touching. Might be easier if you change them to guide layers. Zoom in a bit more if you need to. So they are just touching there, but I think they're not quite touching, which I can see because that line is too thick now. Let's check and see. If I was to change these back to basic cut and do combine and weld now, okay, that was good. They were overlapping a little bit. If you welded them and you saw that there was still a black line down here, that means your two sides weren't quite touching. So if that's the case, undo with the undo button here and move them a little bit closer together. I've got my score line, which is too long. Let's make it a bit thinner. And a line and vertical to make sure it's right in the middle. And then attach. Then arrange to back. Okay, so that's my very bottom bit. Now we can start building up the numbers. There's one. Where's my other number? Did I delete it? Where's my one gone? Monkey, lion, that's this one, giraffe, it's not in there. I must have deleted it. Maybe I deleted it instead of hiding it. Well, this is a great reason for why we've got a backup. I am going to duplicate my one from the backup, drag it out of the backup and hide that backup again, and then put this back in place. Okay, backup for the win. All right, so this is now building up the front of the card. So my next layer that sticks on will probably be the body parts of the giraffe. So we can turn that on and I'll have them above the base card. But then the one after that will be the green of my numbers. So I've got the body of the giraffe first because the giraffe is behind the numbers. Then we'll have the green. I can join my leaves on to the green. And I also want the outline of the monkey. Don't need the giraffe anymore, just those bits that are underneath. But I will copy the bottom layer of the lion, make that green, and the bottom layer of the monkey. The reason we're doing this is so that all the layering looks nice and even as we're going through. There. So my next piece to go on will give us the outline of the leaves and the lion, which is good because it means we'll then know where to stick the rest of the lion on, and the outline of the monkey. So again, we'll know where to stick that monkey. Select all of the green. Actually, I'll probably need to drag the greens out of the groups with the rest of the numbers. I can then hide them. There we go. So head, leaf, leaf, monkey, number 1 and the 0. I had the Shift key pressed down on my keyboard, which enabled me to select them all by clicking, and then combine and weld. And that is now all one piece. You might want to check in Contour to see if there's any little bits that you might want to remove. Okay, so then I would probably stick on my rest of my numbers. They don't need to join to anything because all those bits are separate. And then I would put on, before I stick on the green though, I'll need to do that circle for the lion body. So we'll drag that down there. Then we can do the rest of the giraffe, the head and the feet, and the lion. That'll be above there. I don't need to join anything else on because these can all just stick on the top. I'll probably use some foam squares for some of these, so under the brown of the lion and the bottom of the monkey, and some in the giraffe's head as well. And that is my card design all finished. Okay, let's see what this is going to look like cut out. There'll be lots of little pieces. It's not too bad though. Not too many colours. Need to remember that my bright pink is for my pattern paper. Okay, so this was a bit of a longer tutorial, but I hope that it was helpful to see how you can take these number designs and turn them into something really special and unique in Design Space using whatever images and SVGs you want. Let's take a look at the card all finished. Here's how my jungle animal card turned out. I love it. The brightness of that pattern paper goes really nicely with the bright colours in the animals, and it's such an unusual but really nice card. If we look at it from the back, here's how all my layers are being made up. Here's my base card, then the back of the giraffe, that yellow oval I did for the lion, and then it's all in there. I've put some foam squares under the animals to bring them out a little bit, and it all stands up perfectly. If you make your card and you're having trouble with it standing up, maybe when you try it's just kind of opening out like this, it probably means that the back of your card needs a little bit more weight. If you're going to do that, take your base card, add a rectangle up to the score line and slice it away so you've just got the back shape. Cut that maybe 2 or 3 times and glue it on the back. And that will help give it more stability on the back to help it upright. You could also add some inserts in the middle for a little bit more weight on the back. And there's that one. Let's bring in the original again, just to show how you can use the same number set to make completely different cards for a whole range of different ages. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make custom peel-off stickers with your Cricut machine. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and card making fun. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 9 of the card making countdown, but for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!